The clock strikes midnight, and the world is cloaked in silence. In the 1970s, a man walked among us, his smile disarming, his words polished, his eyes promising safety. To friends, he was a future lawyer, a volunteer, a charmer who could light up a room. But in the shadows, he was something else entirely. A predator, a phantom, a monster who hunted with chilling precision. This is Crime O'Clock, and tonight, we unravel the dark secrets of Ted Bundy, a name that still sends shivers down the spine. His story is one of deception, terror, and loss. A tale that forces us to confront the evil that can hide behind a perfect facade. If you're ready to dive into this chilling journey through one of history's darkest chapters, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and drop a comment to join the Crime O'Clock community. Your support keeps our clock ticking, bringing you the stories that haunt us, the truths that demand to be told. Let's uncover the darkness together. Ted Bundy. His name alone evokes a mix of horror and fascination. In the 1970s, he carved a path of destruction across America, targeting young women with a brutality that defied comprehension. Over 30 lives, possibly many more, were stolen by a man who could charm anyone, police, judges, even his victims. But this isn't just a story of crimes. It's a story of lives lost, of families shattered, and of a nation forced to rethink how it hunts monsters. At Crime O'Clock, we'll take you through every layer of this case, starting with the boy who seemed destined for greatness, tracing the early signs of his darkness, and following his descent into a relentless killer. We'll walk through the investigations that struggled to catch him, the audacious escapes that stunned the world, and the psychology that drove a man to become a nightmare. We'll honor the victims, women like Linda and Healy, who dreamed of a career in radio, Margaret Bowman, a student full of promise, Kimberly Leach, a child with her whole life ahead. Their stories, not his, are why we're here. This journey will be long, chilling, and unflinching, but it's one we must take to understand the truth. So settle in, dim the lights, and listen closely. The clock is ticking, and at Crime O'Clock, we're about to unravel the dark secrets of Ted Bundy. November 24th, 1946, Burlington, Vermont. A cold wind sweeps through the streets as Eleanor Louise Cowell, a 22-year-old woman, gives birth in a home for unwed mothers. Her son, Theodore Robert Cowell, enters the world under a cloud of secrecy. In the 1940s, illegitimacy carries a heavy stigma, and Eleanor faces judgment from every corner. The father's identity is a blank space on the birth certificate, listed simply as unknown. Rumors swirl. Some say he was a sailor who disappeared after a brief affair. Others whisper darker theories, pointing to a family member. Eleanor never speaks of it, guarding the truth with a silence that will follow her son for years. To shield young Ted from society's scorn, she makes a heart-wrenching choice. She moves to Philadelphia, where her parents, Samuel and Eleanor Cowell, take the boy in as their own. For years, Ted grows up believing his mother is his sister, a deception that plants seeds of confusion in his young mind. The 1950s unfold, and the Cowell household in Philadelphia, later Tacoma, Washington, is a picture of middle-class normalcy. Or so it seems. Samuel, a landscaper, is a stern figure, prone to bursts of temper. Eleanor, reserved and devout, keeps the family grounded. Young Ted is quiet, almost invisible, but his intelligence shines through. He excels in school, solving math problems with ease and charming teachers with his polite demeanor. Yet there's something off. Neighbors notice he prefers solitude, often staring out windows or wandering alone. At age 3, a disturbing incident sets off alarms. His aunt wakes to find Ted, grinning, arranging kitchen knives around her bed. She laughs it off as a childish prank, but the image lingers, a boy too young to understand, yet drawn to something unsettling. Years later, this moment will be dissected, a possible glimpse into a mind already wired differently. By high school, Ted transforms. The shy boy becomes something else entirely, polished, articulate, magnetic. At Wilson High School in Tacoma, he's a model student, earning straight A's and dominating the debate team. Classmates recall his smile, his ability to make anyone feel at ease. He's the kind of teenager who could talk his way out of trouble, who seemed destined for greatness. But there's another Ted, One he hides from the world. In the privacy of his room, he collects true crime magazines, their pages filled with lurid tales of murder and violence. He pores over them, memorizing details of crimes, captivated by the idea of power over others. It's not just curiosity, it's obsession. These stories feed something deep within him, a hunger that grows with every page turned. Ted's teenage years are a study in contrasts. On the surface, he's charming, even romantic, dating girls and attending school dances. But his relationships are turbulent, marked by a possessiveness that unsettles those close to him. By 15, he's sneaking out at night, peeping into neighbors' windows, watching women in their private moments. The thrill of invasion, of seeing what's forbidden, electrifies him. He later admits these acts were compulsive, a way to feel in control. Alongside voyeurism, he begins stealing, small items at first, like books or clothes from stores. It's not about need. It's about the rush, the test of how far he can push the boundaries without getting caught. Each act is a step closer to something darker, a rehearsal for what's to come. In 1965, Ted graduates high school and enrolls at the University of Puget Sound, later transferring to the University of Washington to study psychology. He throws himself into his studies, impressing professors with his intellect. He volunteers for political campaigns, shaking hands and charming voters. But his personal life unravels. In 1967, he meets Stephanie Brooks, a beautiful, affluent student who captivates him. Their relationship is intense, but Stephanie ends it in 1968, citing Ted's lack of direction. The rejection cuts deep, leaving a wound that festers. Around this time, he learns the truth about his mother, shattering his sense of identity. As he enters his 20s, Ted reinvents himself, new wardrobe, sharper charm, a law school dream. But the darkness is no longer dormant. He's following women, memorizing their routines, planning in secret. The line between fantasy and reality is dissolving, and soon, Ted Bundy will unleash his darkest impulses on an unsuspecting world. It's 1974, and Seattle is alive with the energy of youth, college campuses buzzing, music filling the air. Ted Bundy, now 27, is a law student at the University of Washington, blending effortlessly into this vibrant world. To those around him, he's the picture of success, articulate, ambitious, always ready with a smile. But beneath this facade, a storm is raging. The urges he's nurtured since his teens, voyeurism, control, domination, are no longer fantasies locked in his mind. They're demands, screaming to be unleashed. At Crime O'Clock, we're stepping into the moment when Ted Bundy becomes a killer, transforming the Pacific Northwest into a place of fear and loss. The clock is ticking louder now, and the darkness is about to break free. January 4th, 1974. Karen Sparks, a 21-year-old dance major at the University of Washington, is asleep in her basement apartment. In the dead of night, Bundy slips inside. The attack is brutal, leaving Karen with injuries so severe she spends months in a hospital, her life forever altered. The assault shocks Seattle, a city unaccustomed to such violence. Police are baffled, no fingerprints, no witnesses, just a young woman fighting to survive. A month later, on February 1st, Linda and Healy vanishes. Linda, also 21, is a psychology student with a radiant smile and a passion for skiing. She works part-time as a radio announcer, her voice a familiar comfort to listeners. Friends describe her as kind, ambitious, the kind of person who lit up every room. But on that February night, she's taken from her home near campus, leaving behind only questions and a community gripped by fear. Bundy's methods are chillingly precise. He doesn't strike at random or skulk in dark alleys. He hunts in plain sight, using his charm as a weapon. Picture this. A handsome man approaches a woman on a busy campus, his arm in a sling, struggling with a stack of books. "Could you help me carry these to my car?" he asks, his voice warm, his smile reassuring. To his victims, he's harmless, even kind. But once they're alone, the mask drops. His tan Volkswagen Beetle becomes a trap, where he overpowers them with speed and force. In spring 1974, the disappearances mount. Donna Manson, 19, a free-spirited student at Evergreen State College, vanishes in March. Susan Rancourt, 22, a biology major at Central Washington State, disappears in April. Roberta Parks, 22, a student at Oregon State, is gone by May. Each woman is young, vibrant, with dreams of her own. Each disappearance deepens the dread spreading across the Northwest. Bundy's boldness peaks on July 14, 1974, at Lake Sammamish State Park, just east of Seattle. It's a sunny Sunday, the park crowded with families and students. Bundy, calling himself Ted, approaches women with a familiar ruse. He needs help loading a sailboat onto his car, his arm in a sling. Janice Ott, 23, a social worker with a warm laugh, agrees to help. Hours later, Denise Naslund, 19, a computer science student, falls for the same ploy. Both vanish, their fates unknown for years. Witnesses recall the man named Ted, his tan beetle, his polished demeanor. The double abduction in broad daylight stuns investigators. How could a killer operate so openly, with hundreds of people nearby? The name Ted becomes a haunting clue, plastered on posters and whispered in fear. Bundy's early crimes reveal a predator refining his craft. From voyeurism to murder, his escalation is swift, driven by a need for control that grows with each act. Seattle is no longer a safe haven. It's a city on edge, with parents warning their daughters to avoid strangers, even the charming ones. At Crime O'Clock, we're only beginning to uncover the horror. What do you think drove Bundy to escalate from voyeurism to murder? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's keep the clock ticking. By late 1974, Ted Bundy is no longer testing his limits. He's shattering them. The Pacific Northwest is gripped by a quiet terror, with missing person posters lining every street corner. Young women, students, daughters, dreamers are vanishing, and the police have no answers. Bundy, now 28, is a phantom, moving undetected through a society that trusts too easily. His confidence is soaring, his methods honed to a deadly edge. At Crime O'Clock, we're following the trail of a killer whose hunger knows no bounds, as he expands his reach beyond Washington, leaving a shadow across the American West. In the fall of 1974, Bundy moves to Salt Lake City, enrolling at the University of Utah's law school. To his classmates, he's a dedicated student, charming and ambitious. But his nights tell a different story. On October 2nd, Nancy Wilcox, a 16-year-old cheerleader, disappears from Holiday, Utah. Nancy was bright, full of energy, known for her infectious enthusiasm. She's last seen walking near her home, her life snuffed out in an instant. Bundy later confesses to her murder, a chilling admission that comes too late for her family. Just weeks later, on October 18th, Melissa Smith, 17, vanishes from Midvale. The daughter of a police chief, Melissa was a high school student with a love for music and a close-knit family. She's last seen leaving a pizza parlor, unaware of the predator watching her. Her body is later found in a remote canyon, a stark reminder of Bundy's brutality. Bundy's spree continues with terrifying speed. On October 31st, Laura Am, 17, goes missing in Lehi, Utah. Laura was an artist, her sketchbooks filled with dreams of a creative future. She's last seen at a Halloween party, hitchhiking home. Bundy spots her, lures her, and ends her life in the mountains. His pattern is clear now. Young women, often alone, targeted with precision. He studies their routines, waits for the perfect moment, and strikes without hesitation. The remote landscapes of Utah, its rugged canyons, its silent forests, become his hiding places, concealing the evidence of his crimes. Each victim is chosen not for who they are, but for what they represent to Bundy, an opportunity to dominate, to control, to destroy. By early 1975, Bundy crosses state lines into Colorado. On January 12th, Karen Campbell, a 23-year-old nurse, vanishes from the Wildwood Inn in Snowmass. She's on vacation with her fiancé, stepping away to grab a magazine from their room. Karen was compassionate, dedicated to helping others, her life full of promise. She never returns, her body later found in a snowbank. On March 15th, Julie Cunningham, 26, a ski instructor in Vail, disappears after leaving her apartment. Julie was independent, adventurous, loved by her friends. Bundy later admits to luring her with his familiar ruse, a man in need. his arm in a sling. His ability to exploit trust is his greatest weapon, and it's working with devastating efficiency. Bundy's reach extends further into Idaho. On May 6, 1975, Lynette Culver, just 12 years old, vanishes from her school in Pocatello. Lynette was a child, her life barely begun, filled with dreams of growing up. Her abduction shocks the community, a grim reminder that no one is safe. Bundy's victims spanned ages and backgrounds, united only by their vulnerability to his deception. Authorities estimate at least 30 confirmed victims, but Bundy's cryptic comments in later years suggest the number could be far higher, 50, 60, even 100. The true toll remains a haunting question, one that lingers as the West braces for more loss. At Crime O'Clock, we're approaching the moment when the hunter becomes the hunted. It's 1975, and the American West is a region under siege. Missing person posters plaster every campus, every small town, from Seattle to Salt Lake City. Young women are vanishing at an alarming rate, and fear has settled into the hearts of communities once considered safe. Ted Bundy, the charming law student, is still a ghost, slipping through a fractured system that's struggling to keep up. At Crime O'Clock, we're diving into the investigation that finally put a name to the nightmare, a chase that would test the limits of 1970s policing. The clock is ticking, and the net is about to tighten. In the 1970s, law enforcement is a different world. There's no national database to track missing persons, no DNA testing to link crimes, no instant communication between jurisdictions. Each police department operates in its own bubble, piecing together fragments of a puzzle they don't yet understand. In Washington, detectives notice a disturbing pattern. Young women, mostly college students, disappearing near universities or public spaces. Witnesses describe a man, handsome, well-spoken, often with his arm in a sling or struggling with books. He calls himself Ted, a detail that emerges from the Lake Sammamish abductions. The name sticks, whispered in police stations and printed in newspapers, but it's not enough to catch a killer. The first major break comes in Utah. On November 8, 1974, Carol Duranch, 19, narrowly escapes death. At a shopping mall in Murray, a man posing as a police officer approaches her, claiming her car was broken into. He's polite, professional, wearing a suit. She follows him to his Volkswagen Beetle, where he tries to handcuff her. Carol fights back, kicking and screaming, breaking free in a moment of sheer survival instinct. Her description of the man, tall, handsome, driving a tan Beetle, becomes a critical lead. Months later, on August 16, 1975, a highway patrol officer in Granger, Utah, stops a suspicious Beetle for erratic driving. Inside is Ted Bundy, and a search of his car reveals a chilling haul, a crowbar, handcuffs, a ski mask, an ice pick, rope, and garbage bags. He claims they're for home repairs, but the officer isn't buying it. Bundy's arrest in Utah is a turning point, but it's just the beginning. Police in Washington, Utah, and Colorado start connecting the dots. The Volkswagen matches witness reports from multiple states. Carol Duranch identifies Bundy in a lineup, her testimony tying him to the attempted kidnapping. Detectives dig into his background, uncovering his law school enrollment, his political volunteer work, his seemingly perfect life. But they also find inconsistencies, unexplained absences, strange behavior, a pattern of being near crime scenes. The FBI's behavioral science unit, still in its early days, offers a profile, an intelligent, organized killer who blends into society, charming and manipulative. Bundy fits perfectly, but the evidence is still circumstantial. Police know they're dealing with a predator, but they don't yet grasp the full scope of his crimes. As investigators close in, the challenges of 1970s policing loom large. Without modern technology, they rely on witness statements, physical evidence, and sheer persistence. The name Ted Bundy is now on every detective's radar, but he's still one step ahead. The women he's taken, Linda Healy, Nancy Wilcox, Karen Campbell, deserve justice, but the system is slow, fragmented, and unprepared for a killer this cunning. How do you think 1970s policing limitations helped Bundy evade capture? Drop your theories in the comments below, and let's keep unraveling this case at Crime O'Clock. It's June 1976, and Ted Bundy stands in a Utah courtroom, facing charges for the kidnapping of Carol Duranch. To the public, he's a charismatic law student, confident and composed, acting as his own attorney. His smile disarms spectators. His arguments impress the press. But the evidence, Carol's testimony, the handcuffs found in his car, tells a darker story. On June 30th, 1976, Bundy is convicted and sentenced to 1 to 15 years in prison. At crime o'clock, it seems like the clock has stopped, justice served. But Ted Bundy is no ordinary criminal, and his story is far from over. The clock is still ticking, and he's about to show the world just how dangerous he can be. In early 1977, Bundy is extradited to Colorado to face murder charges in the death of Karen Campbell. The ski resort nurse's case is strong. Witnesses place him near the scene, and physical evidence is mounting. But on June 7, 1977, during a court recess in Aspen, Bundy seizes a moment of opportunity. Left alone in the courthouse library, he opens a second-story window and jumps. He lands hard, spraining his ankle, but he vanishes into the Colorado mountains. For 6 days, a massive manhunt scours the wilderness. Bundy steals food, breaks into cabins, and evades capture. Weak and disheveled, he's recaptured on June 13th, driving a stolen car. The escape electrifies the nation, proving Bundy's cunning and determination. Back in custody, Bundy isn't deterred. On December 30th, 1977, he escapes again, this time from Garfield County Jail in Glenwood Springs. He's lost weight, meticulously planning his move. He crawls through a ceiling vent, drops into a guard's apartment, and walks out into the night, wearing stolen clothes. This time, he's gone for weeks, slipping across the country to Florida. Authorities are stunned, the public terrified. A serial killer is loose, with no trace of where he'll strike next. Bundy's second escape is a masterclass in audacity, but it sets the stage for his most reckless and brutal chapter. In January 1978, Bundy arrives in Tallahassee, Florida, living under aliases and using stolen credit cards. On January 15th, he enters the Chi Omega sorority house at Florida State University in the dead of night. In a frenzied attack, he kills Margaret Bowman, 21, and Lisa Levy, 20, both vibrant students with bright futures. 2 others, Karen Chandler and Kathy Kleiner, are brutally attacked but survive, their courage a testament to their strength. Less than an hour later, Bundy breaks into a nearby apartment, attacking Cheryl Thomas, a 21-year-old dancer. She survives, but the trauma lingers. The Chi Omega attack shocks the nation, its brutality unmatched even by Bundy standards. Bundy's rampage doesn't end there. On February 9, 1978, he abducts Kimberly Leach, a 12-year-old girl, from her school in Lake City, Florida. Kimberly was a shy, bright child, loved by her family, her life full of promise. Her disappearance devastates the community, a grim reminder that Bundy's violence spares no one. His Florida crimes are chaotic, a departure from his earlier precision. He's unraveling, but the damage he's caused is catastrophic. At crime o'clock, we're nearing the end of his reign, but the cost of his freedom is a wound that will never fully heal. What makes a man like Ted Bundy? At crime o'clock, we're stepping into the labyrinth of a killer's mind, a place where charm masks monstrosity. Psychologists who studied Bundy call him a textbook psychopath. Charismatic, manipulative, utterly devoid of empathy or remorse. His crimes weren't driven by rage or passion, but by a cold, calculated need for control. Every act, every victim, was a means to satisfy a hunger that grew with each kill. But what created this darkness? Was it wired into his brain from birth? Or did life shape him into a monster? The answers are as elusive as Bundy himself. Bundy's childhood offers fragments of insight, but no clear origin. Growing up believing his mother was his sister left him with a fractured sense of identity. When he learned the truth in his teens, the betrayal cut deep, fueling a resentment he rarely spoke of. His college breakup with Stephanie Brooks, a woman he idealized, was another blow. She was beautiful, affluent, everything he aspired to be. When she ended their relationship in 1968, calling him aimless, Bundy was humiliated. Years later, he admitted targeting women who resembled her. Long dark hair, young, ambitious, as if killing them could erase his rejection. Was it revenge, or a twisted attempt to reclaim power? Experts still debate. In prison, Bundy granted rare interviews, including with FBI profiler Bill Hagmaier. He described his urges as a chemical tidal wave, a force he claimed he couldn't resist. He spoke of a hunger that intensified with each crime, a cycle of addiction to power and control. Yet, even in confession, he was manipulative, portraying himself as a victim of his own mind, deflecting blame. Some psychologists saw this as classic narcissism. Bundy needed to be the center of attention, even in his downfall. Others pointed to his psychopathy, a lack of conscience that let him kill without guilt. He once said he felt nothing for his victims, a chilling admission that underscored his detachment. How does Bundy compare to other killers? Like Jeffrey Dahmer, he sought control, but Dahmer's remorse set them apart. Bundy felt none. Like John Wayne Gacy, he hid behind a respectable facade, but Bundy's mobility and charm made him uniquely elusive. Psychopathy tied them together, but Bundy's ability to blend in, to win trust, was unmatched. His crimes weren't just acts of violence, they were performances, each one a stage for his ego. Understanding Bundy means confronting the uncomfortable truth. Evil can wear a human face, and it can be terrifyingly persuasive. Bundy's psychology is a puzzle with missing pieces. Was he born this way? Or did rejection, shame, and obsession shape him? His story challenges us to look closer, to question the masks people wear. Do you believe Bundy's confessions revealed his true motives? Or was he still manipulating to the end? Let us know in the comments, and let's keep exploring the shadows at Crime O'Clock. February 15th, 1978, Pensacola, Florida. Ted Bundy's reign of terror is nearing its end. Driving a stolen orange Volkswagen Beetle, he stopped by a patrol officer for a routine check. He gives a fake name, but his nervous demeanor betrays him. When police run his details, they realize they've caught a fugitive wanted across multiple states. Bundy bolts, leading officers on a brief chase, but he's tackled and handcuffed. After years of evasion, the man who terrorized a nation is finally in custody. At Crime O'Clock, the clock is slowing, but the scars of his crimes remain. Bundy faces trial for the Chi Omega murders and the killing of Kimberly Leach. The evidence is damning. Bite marks on victims matching his teeth, eyewitness accounts, and physical items linking him to the scenes. The 1979 Chi Omega trial in Miami is a spectacle, televised nationwide. Bundy, acting as his own attorney, turns the courtroom into a stage. He cross-examines witnesses with charm, even proposing to Carol and Boone, a friend, during testimony, a stunt that captivates the media. But the jury sees through the performance. On July 24, 1979, he's convicted of the murders of Margaret Bowman and Lisa Levy. A second trial in 1980 convicts him for Kimberly Leach's death. 3 death sentences are handed down, sealing his fate. On death row, Bundy begins to crack. Facing execution, he grants interviews to investigators, including FBI profiler Bill Hagmaier. In chilling detail, he confesses to over 30 murders, describing locations and methods with an eerie calm. He offers to help find remains, hoping to delay his sentence. For some families, like those of Nancy Wilcox and Lynette Culver, his confessions bring a painful closure, confirming their worst fears. For others, the uncertainty lingers. Bundy hints at more victims, names and numbers he never fully reveals. His confessions are a mix of truth and manipulation, a final attempt to control the narrative. On January 24, 1989, at Florida State Prison, Ted Bundy faces the electric chair. Outside, crowds gather, some cheer, holding signs reading "Burn, Bundy, burn." Others stand in silent grief for the lives lost. At 7:16 a.m., the sentence is carried out. The man who haunted a nation is gone, but his shadow lingers. For the families of Linda Healy, Margaret Bowman, Kimberly Leach, and countless others, justice is bittersweet. Their loved ones are gone, their dreams stolen. At Crime O'Clock, we honor their memory as we near the end of this dark tale. Ted Bundy's death didn't end his story. At Crime O'Clock, we're examining the legacy of a killer who changed how we see evil. His crimes forced law enforcement to evolve. Before Bundy, Police departments worked in silos, rarely sharing information across state lines. His case pushed for better coordination, leading to national databases and improved communication. The FBI's Behavioral Science Unit, inspired by killers like Bundy, refined criminal profiling, creating tools to identify predators before they strike again. His shadow reshaped the system, making it harder for others to slip through the cracks. Bundy's impact extends beyond police work. It's embedded in our culture. Books like The Stranger Beside Me by and Rule, a former friend of Bundy's, became bestsellers. Documentaries and films, like Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile, starring Zac Efron, draw millions of viewers. But this fascination raises hard questions. Does the media glorify Bundy, focusing on his charm while overshadowing his victims? Families of those he killed, like Kimberly Leach's parents, have spoken out, urging us to remember the lives lost, not the man who took them. Linda Healy dreamed of broadcasting. Margaret Bowman wanted to graduate. Kimberly Leach was just a child. Their stories, not his, deserve the spotlight. Bundy's case also sparked a movement in victim advocacy. In the 1970s, families of missing persons often faced their grief alone. His crimes led to stronger support networks, from counseling services to organizations dedicated to finding the missing. Today, technology like DNA databases and Amber Alerts owes a debt to cases like his, which exposed the need for change. But the cost was staggering. Lives lost, families broken, a nation forced to confront the reality of evil hiding in plain sight. As we close this chapter, Bundy's legacy is a warning. Evil can wear a charming face, and it can strike when we least expect it. His story teaches us to stay vigilant, to question appearances, and to honor those who suffered. Has the media's portrayal of Bundy gone too far? Share your views on true crime ethics in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation going at Crime O'Clock. Ted Bundy was a paradox, a man who could charm a courtroom, a community, even a nation, while hiding a darkness that claimed countless lives. His crimes shocked the world, but they also changed it, from the way we hunt killers to the way we honor victims. At Crime O'Clock, we tell these stories to remember those who were taken. Linda and Healy, whose voice could have filled airwaves. Margaret Bowman, whose laughter lit up rooms. Kimberly Leach, whose childhood was stolen. Their dreams, their hopes, their lives. These are the heart of this story, and we will never forget them. Thank you for joining us on this haunting journey through one of history's darkest chapters. Next time, we'll dive into the mystery of the Zodiac Killer, a case that still baffles investigators with its unbreakable ciphers. If you found this deep dive compelling, support Crime O'Clock by visiting our Buy Me a Coffee link in the description. Your support keeps our clock ticking, bringing you more stories that demand to be told. Until then, stay safe, stay curious, and we'll see you when the clock strikes again. Tick-tock.